Paul gets in, another wide open three.
Pierre Cardin.
Defers to Booker for the long range.
Phoenix. Phoenix Suns, and you know we up next. Yeah, we working for that championship ring. We the Valley, it ain't nothing but a thing. Phoenix. Phoenix Suns, and you know we up next. Yeah, we working for that championship ring. We the Valley, it ain't nothing but a thing.
Welcome, everybody, to the Aussie Suns Fans podcast. I am your host, Gavin, and we are here and joined once again, as always, by Boyd. How you doing, Boyd?
Good, mate. How are you?
Oh, good. What I was thinking was we've got to get some sort of warning up just to let people know that when the song ends, they're going to see your fucking head.
Right in the middle.
We probably, because straight away we had 6 people on watching, and that halved as soon as they seen your head. Hammo, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Glad to be back. It's been a while.
It has. We missed a week there. So, Nate, how about you, mate? You got the Boomers jersey on. How you travelling, mate?
Fresh as a fucking daisy, brother.
That's what we like to hear. And back after a 12-month hiatus, just due to the show that we've got today reviewing the Southeast, we've got my resident Miami Heat fan back again. Caleb, how are you, mate? Thank you for jumping on again.
Good, buddy. Thanks for having me. Happy Father's Day to all. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there in Australia. It's only Father's Day down here. It's not in the States. So our States watchers, you get your own Father's Day at another time. But happy Father's Day to our Aussie watchers that are out there and listeners and all that sort of stuff. If you're on YouTube, do us a solid, hit the like. Subscribe, do all that sort of good fun stuff that we like to ask you to do. Otherwise, we'll start to include you all in Flog of the Week. Of course, unless you are locked on Warriors, and then we apologise for being fans and having an opinion on the game. Stuff's happened again this week, I guess. We've missed a week, so there's been a little bit that's gone on. We are going to get into the review of the Southeast Division at some stage when we get there. But the biggest news out of Suns land, I guess, the Ring of Honor refresh. I know Suns fans, particularly over in Phoenix, are very, very excited about the refresh coming rather than it being up on monitors and whatever else and dropping off all the time. The Suns are going back to the banners from the roof and all that sort of stuff for the Ring of Honor. What's your thoughts there? Let's go with you first, Nate. I know you're a big Ring of Honor type of guy. What's your thoughts on the Suns refreshing Ring of Honor?
I must say, I did notice the sort of digital transition with the new arena, which I didn't quite. I mean, it suited the new arena, but I do like the tradition of hanging banners, hanging names. Having been to Steve Nash's Ring of Honor ceremony, there's something a little more authentic about dropping a banner rather than just putting up a digital image in pixelated whatever. So, yeah, I wasn't upset to see a bit more of the tradition brought back to the new arena. I think good on them.
Hammo?
Oh, man, how much does Matt Ishbia want to do to endear himself to the Phoenix people and the fans? I think it's amazing. Why the hell not, man? We've had a really shitty kind of respect for our previous players over the years, so I'm all for it, man. I think it's going to look killer.
Boyd?
So previously it was a digital what?
So it was digital boards around basically under the first level of the stadium, which had the names of the people in the Ring of Honor, but would also flash up with ads. They'd drop off, the names would drop off, and they'd put an ad on it. And I think it pissed a lot of people off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit corny. But so did they ever have it up in the rafters, the banners and shit? Did they
originally?
So they took them down and then fucking did this digital thing with fucking ads.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, just fucking put them back up. The fucking janitor fucking could have done that, the fucking weekend prior. why it's fucking being announced as a big thing. I know Espo was excited about it, but
Mate, it was probably someone's whole job, Boyd.
Keep-
They probably sacked the guy that used to do it.
keep the digital thing going. Get some fucking that's just an extra on top. But yeah, why would they have even a fucking taken them down to start with? I don't know. Yeah, it was look.
Because we're one of those franchises that the banners that hang from our roof at the moment are just Western Conference Finals banners, which isn't the greatest thing. So why not put the Ring of Honor guys back up? Because at least it's something that's worth a bit of pride.
Hey, look, I think all the shit that Matt Ishby is doing, it's all no brainer shit. It's like it's pretty clear that operationally we were pretty much one of the poorest run clubs in the NBA, right? So, Matt Ishbia has done a fucking lot, but, he only has to do little things like this now, little tweaks, and, he's going to have the whole fan base frothing. But, I like it.
I think that's the key, right? The things that Ishbia has done since he bought the franchise halfway through last year is he's listening to what the fans are telling him. We saw him go out. He made a splash by getting KD and all that. That's great. But in this offseason alone, bringing back refreshing the Ring of Honor, inducting Stat and Amari, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Those sorts of, although we did have a
TV deal
kerfuffle about that already, but the TV deal where all Phoenix Suns games will now be shown locally for free. He's doing the things that the fans want to see. So, well done, Matt Ishbia. Great stuff. Caleb, what's your thoughts? Let's get the thoughts of somebody from a different team and from outside. And I know you're a bit of a historian yourself. So what are your thoughts on the way that people set up their Hall of Fames, or we call it the Ring of Honor, within their stadiums?
To be honest, I'm still lost at banners, so I'm not sure what banners you guys are referring to. But last I checked, there isn't any of worth to be hung there in Phoenix. But no, I agree, and it sounds like you guys are all pretty united in.
Anyway, thank Caleb for coming on.
Yes, exactly. I was hoping you'd do that. It was.
It's good. Whatever the fans want. I will say, from an outsider's perspective, I've got a lot of respect for Matt Ishbia. I think he's done a really good job since he's come across. And, I'm not one of those heaps of fans who like to jump on Mickey Harrison, but I do think if he'd spend a little bit more money like Ishbia has been willing to do, that would be helpful as a heat tragic. So, yeah, I think things are certainly heading in the right direction. And it sounds like it's not just the on-court stuff that he's doing that's impressing the fans.
And of course, so we've got we're going to see Stat and Amari introduced. We're not going to get into the fact that the jerseys are being retired. Let's leave that one alone. I think we had that debate already. I don't think there's anyone on this pod that is against the induction of Stat or Amari into the Ring of Honor, and I think it's just we had to recognise those two players. They played such a significant role, particularly in the 7 seconds or less era. If anyone's got anything, jump in now.
I think it's well overdue.
Let's not retire jerseys. Do we want to argue about that again?
No, let's not. It got a bit out of hand last time.
Let's save a half hour and get onto the subjects.
All right, too easy.
All right. A couple of Suns in the FIBA World Cup. Somebody put it up before. Yuta the shooter is doing the business over there for Japan. They qualified for the Olympics. He was a bit excited about it. Hey, have you guys been watching the FIBA World Cup, and what are your thoughts, particularly around? Oh, let's be honest. We'll talk about the Boomers as well, but it's been let's put it this way: the US games have been boring as fuck. I don't know why they scheduled them against all the shittest fucking countries in the world so early. They could have at least given them one fucking challenge. Canada's been interesting to watch because I think they're probably the best side in it at the moment. But it was good to see Yuta running around for Japan. He played against the Boomers, played a solid game. And, of course, one had a win last night, which put them through. Who else is over there at the moment for the Suns running around?
I think
no one's left.
For a bit.
No one's left.
No one's left?
No one's left.
Yeah.
Wasn't Metu playing for fucking Hawaii or something? Metu was playing for
Hawaii's a state of America, mate. They're not their own country.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's very cheeky how they claimed Hawaii, isn't it? Fucking perfect little holiday joint, and them cunts just fucking claim this fucking paradise. Fuck. We should claim Fiji or something close by as a state of ours, so we can I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Yeah, Medju lost early. You'd have done now, but made the Olympics. So yeah, there's no more Suns left in it. And this one, Caleb, you can sort of jump into here. A very, very disappointing performance from the Boomers over there. The entire tournament, I thought they were disappointing. Brian Goorjian fluffed the coaching. I don't think he's a world-class coach at all. And I think that showed during this. Caleb, we'll let you go first as a guest. What were your thoughts on the Boomers over there?
Yeah, good takes, Gavin. Roster construction just wasn't real good. I thought we had too many non-shooters on the court at all times. Heavy reliance on Paddy Mills to be hitting them from deep. And without him, they sort of looked lost. I know Giddy had a pretty hot game in the last. I must admit, I didn't even watch the last game because I forgot it was on. But Giddy had a good game in that last run. But really, it was just 3 or 4 non-shooters at all times. I thought Duop Reef looked quite good in his minutes. In fact, I probably would have played him more minutes.
Certainly ahead of Nick Kay.
Yeah. And he's got that stretch sort of shot blocking 3-point shooting mold that I think a lot of NBA teams are chasing at the moment as well. There were some good signs, but, someone like Dyson Daniels probably should have played a lot more minutes than he did. I thought Goulding probably could have got on the court a little bit more. He at least offers some shooting. So overall disappointing, but, we qualify for the Olympics and look forward to that.
Chris Goulding was the last one in, though. He was the last roster spot to fill.
He was, but he was also pretty much the only shooter outside of Paddy Mills, and that's what I agree with Caleb there, is we know Goulding can shoot and he can stretch the floor.
And that's probably more my point. It's not that he deserved minutes necessarily based on skill over some of those other players, but at least he offered a skill set that others didn't have. And far too often it looked like we had too many people that were trying to drive into the lanes, and it's FIBA basketball as well, so that's a little bit harder. And then they were getting stopped at the ring, and there was no one to spray it out to unless it was Mills, and he at times had 2-3 players on him at all times. So yeah, just the system wasn't there, and unfortunately it got found out pretty quickly.
I just want to address this one, Joel. Jock would have made a significant difference. Nick Kay ended up probably playing his minutes, and he's just not at the level that Jock is. Even though he had a poor year shooting from the 3-point line for the Suns, he's actually quite a good stretch big with the Boomers. He was significantly important during our run and the bronze medal during the last Olympics. And I think just from a hustle standpoint as well, Jock would have been a significant difference to this squad.
Well, that's how he got his contract with the Spurs, right? He showed out big time, and I think
absolutely.
And just to double down, you guys have hit the nail on the head pretty much. It was some late reactions, not enough adjustments. Hey, how about that? We're fucking victim to adjustments. Hey,
Monty Williams to find a moment, didn't you, Boyd?
Monty Williams is fucking reincarnated as what's his name?
Yeah, that's right. Brian Goorjian.
Anyway.
Look,
size. I think we lack size and physicality. But yeah, I can't. There's not much more apart from what you guys have just said. It's just it is what it is. Like, this team could be better. I don't know. Who are you guys thinking? Who's the next coach?
I'd go back to Brett Brown.
Yeah,
it's probably a tad too far removed by now, though, isn't it?
Oh,
although he's currently coaching the NBA, isn't he? He's an assistant coach, isn't he? Back?
I'm pretty sure he's back as an assistant in the NBA. But I don't know. Goorjian he coached it like an NBL team. at the end of the
He's a
the
very
were
good
some good
NBL coach.
player flashes, though.
Very good NBL coach, but I think you're right there, Gav. He didn't adjust to an international game. He was just playing like, down here at the Snake Pit or up in, I don't know, whatever, the Brisbane Bullet Centre or something. No, they probably wouldn't call it that with them shootings the other year.
Which NBA team is he working for at the moment?
Don't know.
Is it in the
I
Nets?
said I think. I don't know. I'll Google it. Keep talking.
But yeah,
I'm
no,
talking about Gorgon.
it was
Gorgon
it was
is not
right.
at Nets.
Oh, Gordon's not in the NBA.
Yeah, he is.
You sure?
No,
I'm
he's
pretty
coaching
sure
he's coaching NBL.
He's coaching the Sydney Kings, isn't he?
No, I thought he was on the Nets staff. Anyway, I could be fucking horribly wrong. I don't fuck around.
I think you'll find he was, and then he came back to Australia and took up the coaching role in Sydney.
Okay.
And he was coaching in China for a while.
So
I know
he's
that he
fucking
was
shit.
coaching
Why
in
did we
China for a while, Georgian. But disappointing effort from the Boomers. But what's your prediction from here on in? We sort of going to head out of the second round now. Unfortunately for us as Suns fans and Boomers fans, we had to watch Luca knock us out. Fuck
Yeah.
Luca. That was probably the worst part of it, was the fact that we lost to fucking Luca.
Are we knocked out there? Because we've got a game this afternoon.
Oh
No, I
yeah,
think
but we can't
Lions,
make it.
Isn't there some other of them games already
Yeah,
played and decided
It's,
our fate?
basically, the winner of Germany and Slovenia will go through.
All right. I thought if Germany lost, that we're good.
No, it had to be that we won.
Ogun Ulick, that Australian fucking Twitter dude, he was saying otherwise. But maybe that's changed since with some other results. I don't know. Anyway, who fucking cares?
Yeah,
World Cup.
I'm pretty sure we can't
tell me
make
when
it.
the Olympics are on.
A
No,
couple
it
of
would
years.
not have.
Couple of years, I think. No, next year, isn't it? Is the Olympics next year?
Yeah,
Yes.
2024 in Paris.
2024. Yeah. So that'll be good. We've got the Olympics coming up, but we're not even a medal chance based on the way that the team's constructed at the moment. People keep thinking that that if Ben Simmons came in, it'd help us. The way we play the game right now, no, it wouldn't. He's exactly the same as Josh Giddey. So really, it's not going to make a difference. We've got to find some shooters, and we've got to find them fast. That's how Australia's going to be able to spread the floor, and it's going to be how we become competitive.
He's so fucking positive, isn't he?
Didn't you watch the film of Ben Simmons shooting it in an open gym? He's a fucking
Rudy Gobert.
3-point shooter.
So did Rudy Gobert.
No, you can't throw any weight behind that. But Ben Simmons, mate.
Okay.
Ben Simmons.
Can't behind Gobert, but
Too
we
early
can.
to have
Ben
a
Simmons
headache
got it.
already, man.
Got it. Who's your prediction from here, guys? It's is it going to be? Are we looking at the US, Canada? Can Luka carry Slovenia?
I mean,
I think it's been Canada from the start, hasn't it?
I think, Gav, you and me both picked Canada first, USA second when we went into this, just based on the fact of how young the US team was.
You sticking with that? You still think Canada's
I'm not
leading
going
the way at the moment?
to flip just yet because I think it'll be an incredible matchup.
Well, Canada just had a loss, didn't they?
Oh,
They
probably.
did,
Yeah.
Now they're sort of teetering on being knocked out, I believe. Don't they have to have some shit go their way?
They've only got one loss, don't they?
US.
Yeah, they've only got one loss.
The US and the Twins will take
So
it all.
yes, if Canada does lose tomorrow, they'll be out.
Yes.
But I can't see them losing tomorrow. But that's just me. What about you, Caleb? You US or Canada or somebody else? Luka going to carry Slovenia all the way?
Serbia, because Nikola Jovic will just carry them. No. Look, probably the US. I do think Germany's a sneaky for a bronze medal. I quite like you talk about roster construction. They've got things right. And, you add France who didn't play against us into that lineup, and they're actually pretty scary, the Germans. So I think they're a podium chance. But I think, the US, they're just top to bottom. They're young, but when you're talking about the likes of Anthony Edwards and Triple J.
The black hole of basketball.
They're pretty hard to beat. So, and Austin, no, not Austin Reeves. He's the most overrated basketball player
What?
in the NBA.
Why do they?
Um,
Oh yeah. Why do Minnesota
Filipinos
have
love
the?
him.
Why? Yeah, because he plays for the Lakers. Why do Minnesota have a history of building or developing black holes of basketball? Andrew Wiggins was the first one where the ball went in and never came out again, and that's what we're seeing from Anthony Edwards now. That dude just does not know how to pass the ball.
in fairness, who's he going to pass to? Because Cat was
Fucking
injured all
everyone.
year, and the rest of that team is shit. So I probably
He's
wouldn't
not
be
even
passing
passing in the
Rudy
Olympics.
Gobert either.
He's not even passing in the Olympics. He's just going 5-on-1 at the moment, and that's because his coach told him he's the man.
As he should.
Cam-
He's a young
Cam
Dwayne
Johnson-
Wade.
Did you just say the rest of the team is shit? As in shit from
Timberwolves.
Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson?
No, he's talking
I'm
about the
referring to
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I can get down.
Because you're
with that.
about to get kicked the fuck out again. Sorry.
I'm a big fan of Mikal Bridges. Cam Johnson, he's all right.
Guys in the chat, we're still looking for a shag, marry, kill suggestion. So throw them in the chat, and also any questions without notice, chuck them in the chat, and we'll ask them later on as we head down the path. And especially if any of our viewers that are on here at the moment have any questions for Caleb, being a Heat fan and want to know anything about the Heat, throw them in there, and we'll make him answer them.
Why don't you go away?
Why don't you fuck
First
off
question.
making fucking finals, Eastern Conference finals? Fuck you. All right, we're going to go into our Southeast Division review. So we've actually got slides for this, Caleb. So we'll go through everyone's predictions first, so you'll be able to take in everybody else's predictions, and then you'll be able to fire off at everyone. And looking at a couple of the predictions that came through this week, you're going to have some comments to make.
Yeah. Just remember, this is our pod.
He's actually auditioning today. Just quietly.
Who's auditioning?
Caleb,
Caleb's auditioning for what?
for this pod.
Yeah, right. Okay, we'll kick it off. First of all, we're going to go with Hammo. Hammo, you get to kick it off with the Southeast. Why don't you talk us through your predictions?
Okay, let me just get my little thingy up here. Okay,
Ooh.
so
What she said.
yeah, I think the Heat are going to run it back, dude. I think that this is pretty much a do or die kind of season for him. I mean, Larry's getting older. I don't know how long Jimmy Butler's going to keep hanging around if he's just getting that far and not getting further. So I think they're going to take it out. The Hawks, they're going to be the same Hawks, not really any different from what they have. You know, roster hasn't really changed significantly. Hornets, I've always got a soft spot for the Hornets, so I think they're going to be okay. Magic is just going downhill. And, yeah, Wizards are just in complete tank mode, man.
All right, so we're going to go from 15th to 1st with your overall prediction for the Eastern Conference. So you've got the Wizards in 15th, Orlando 14th, Toronto 13th, Chicago 12th, Charlotte 11th, Detroit 10th, New York 9th, Atlanta 8th, Cleveland 7th, Pacers 6th, Brooklyn 5th, Boston 4th, Miami 3rd, Philly 2nd, and Milwaukee in 1st.
Correct.
So here's your big overall Eastern Conference predictions here. Run us through them, Hammo.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, I think Miami's going to take out the finalist. Like, just because Milwaukee's going to have a better season record doesn't mean they're going to win the conference. I think Miami will take it out. Brooklyn, I think, are going to really just, like it says there, just give people some trouble. They've got a good young team. They've had a lot of time to practice in the off season. I think it's going to be good for them. Wizards, straight up tanking, man. They've got nothing. They're not going to do anything significant at all. And yeah, I think the Pacers are going to make a really big run for the title this year. Young core, been working together for a while now. Bringing on Bruce Brown, it does bring that championship pedigree and mindset with it as well. So that's what I'm thinking.
Beautiful, Hammo. For me, I've got the Heat winning a couple more games. I've based this around the fact that I still believe that the Heat will end up with Dame. It's just going to happen. So I think that the Heat are going to be right there again. Atlanta, pretty much, as Hammo said, I think they're going to be the same sort of team. John Collins has obviously moved on, but I think that they're still a pretty well-balanced team. I think DeJounte Murray's going to take over as the man there, though, and it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Trae Young traded before the trade deadline. Orlando, I think they're going to be better side this year. Banchero looks really good over there in the World Cup. Their new guy looks a player as well. So I think a young core, they're just going to get better. Charlotte, I think, will get better because, especially if LaMelo stays fit. And we see Miles Bridges come back in. No matter what he's done off the court, he's going to make them a better team. And Washington, flat out tank mode. So my predictions, I've got the Wiz finishing last, Toronto, Detroit, Charlotte, Orlando, Atlanta, Brooklyn, Chicago, New York, Indiana, Miami, Cleveland, Philly, Boston, and Milwaukee. And for my overall, I think that it's hard to go past Milwaukee right now, especially if Giannis is fit. If Middleton could stay healthy, Drew Holiday we know stays healthy. I still think they're probably the best squad in the East. Their problem's going to be staying healthy at the end of the year. I think the Pistons are going to improve and make the play-in. Which I haven't even got that there because I haven't updated mine. The Wizards will fall. They're just tanking. And I think the Cavs can really push for an Eastern Conference Finals berth. I don't think they can make it out of the East, but I think they can really push their way through, depending on what happens with Donovan Mitchell and how much impact he has there. But they've got a really good young squad. So, yeah. Nate.
Right. Well, this is going to be one obvious thing here that goes against everyone. Let's start with that conversation. The Washington Wizards. When I originally looked at this, I didn't have them tanking. I had them doing a rebuild without tanking, and I thought there might be some level of cohesion shift in the team. I do have. We haven't chucked up the MVPs yet, so I won't go straight there. But I also, when saying that. I also have to say that they were my most, when I look back over my East, they were my most uncertain one as to why I had them so high.
And let's bring that up again. These are our way too early predictions. Yeah, we did these like 4 weeks ago. So
I have Kyle Kuzma as MVP for the team. I think he settled in nicely there. At some point, he'll stop being a selfish show pony and actually become a team player. And if he feels like the team is his, that might be a little more to it. Again, way too early. The Atlanta thing, I actually think they necessarily get a little better. I've been wanting to see them without John Collins, just to see if that whole team cohesion does take a next step forward, see if the player development and the new pieces do all make a little more sense. So I think they can actually finish at the top of the division. Well, I've got Miami finishing third. I do have them dropping overall. I did this based on no Dame Lillard, and they've lost 2 point guards, Kyle Lowry and Gabe Vincent. And my opinion on the finals, it's very, very hard to get back there twice. And I think this could be, if they don't get Dame Lillard, they fall. Sorry to say that, Caleb. Didn't know you were going to be on, but tough shit. Orlando and Charlotte, I actually did have them improving, but not much, just inching ahead of Indiana and Detroit. But in fairness, I've only got between Washington at 8 and Charlotte at 13. I've only got 5 games separating all those teams. So that needs to be said as well. The rest of the MVPs there, that's not who I put up for the Atlanta Hawks, but that's fine. I definitely had Trae Young as the MVP for Atlanta. That's probably just copying your own shit in there. Kyle Kuzma, Jimmy Butler still for Miami, Paolo Banchero, and LaMelo. So the rest were right, but yeah.
And your predictions?
This is where again the whole the Wizards in the West. I think I've given them way too much credit when I go back over all my things, but hey, I've done it now, so.
Yeah, so you got the Wizards in 8th. Boston, Cavs, Sixers, and the Bucks to finish off. And your big calls.
Yes, my big calls. I actually have the Cavs going all the way to the finals. I think they've been building slow. I think the youth has finally got enough years to be considered, not a young team as such anymore. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be the same teams we usually see fall in there. I think somebody else is due their turn. My bolter, and this was one that you said could scrape in through the play-in tournament and make a go. And I'm having a look at everything in the play-in tournament, and I did a bracket just to see what that looks like. And I had the Bulls being the only sort of play-in team that I thought would stand a chance in the actual bracket. The faller again, I'm not sold on the Miami Heat if they don't get the Lillard thing done. I think that was a big swing, and they had to make that move. Caleb can shit on me later for that. Welcome it. That's the point of doing this. And my big call, you've just got making the NBA Finals, but I actually did the whole bracket, Gav. So all the way from the play-in through to the end. So I've got Heat in 10th, Bulls in 9th, the Bulls knocking out the Heat to face the next playing game. I have the Wizards in 8th, playing Knicks in 7th, with the Wizards Wizards losing, and the Knicks going through the 7th seed. Then the Wizards actually losing to the Bulls, and the Bulls taking the 8th seed. And then round 1, I had Bucks beating Bulls, Celtics beating Hawks, 76ers beating Knicks, Cavs beating Nets. Then Bucks over Celts, Cavs over 76ers, and Cavs beating Bucks to go to the finals. That was my big call.
Fucking hell.
Well played. All right. Fucko.
At Fucko.
Talk us through it.
The Aussie Suns Fans emblem is over my face, mate.
Just as well, really.
That. Anyway. What did I put here? Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks, Orlando Magic, Charlotte Hornets, and the Wizards. To the right, you'll see my team MVPs that I couldn't really give a fuck about. Couldn't give a fuck about this division. Just there you go. That's it, guys. Am I wrong? Who cares?
So you got the Wizards, Charlotte, Detroit, Toronto, Chicago, Orlando, Atlanta, the Knicks, Brooklyn, the Pacers, Philly, Miami, Cleveland, Boston, and the Bucks.
The Bucks.
What about these predictions here for the East overall?
Okay. Chemistry and continuity is the biggest thing. Look, the Bucks, they've just got the fucking Greek freak, right? So, and they've kept their squad together for a fair while. Well, the core of it anyway. So I've got their chemistry and continuity being key over there, as I've written over there in the comments section. The bolter for me, the Brooklyn Nets, and I'm basing that off of a massive confidence boost from this Team USA run. You know, we know when Book's been getting better every year, but when he had that experience over in the it was the Olympics, the one that he went straight after the finals, he just look, you could it didn't he wasn't too tired or anything like that, but he just took another step the next year, and I think the confidence plays a lot for these guys. So I've got that. Who's the faller I got there? I'm struggling. Oh, Miami Heat. There we go. I've been saying this for the last 3 fucking years, by the way. Butler is a year older, and Caleb, you've probably heard it for the last couple. He's gotten a year older. When are the wheels going to fall off this cunt? Honestly, he can't.
I have got a question though. It's similar fuck up to mine.
How can
you have Miami as a faller when they're like 4th and last year they finished 8th?
I was thinking the same thing, Gav.
No. See, I've done this as a separate type. Like the bolter for me is a I see. So where have I got Brooklyn 5th or something?
7th.
So the bolter for mine was someone that I think could possibly go say top 4 if these things come into play. And the faller for me is someone from my prediction that I can see the arse falling out because of my comment section over there. Does that make any sense?
That's a much better explanation.
Okay.
That's even better than the job Hammo did last week or fortnight.
I thought that was fucking common sense, and I thought that was what everyone was doing. But anyway, the faller for me, yeah. So I see. There's a fucking dimension where, and Jimmy Butler's workload's getting bigger and bigger, and he's getting older and older. So there could be a little bit of a the wheels falling off, and that's not crazy to say. Caleb's down there throwing up in his own mouth like "fuck you, boy." but I'm also
still reeling at Nate, to be honest. So you're fine, boy.
But also the Dame trade and all this shit that goes on. We've seen what happens to teams when shit gets talked about and is really massively public, and then nothing happens. There's some shit might fucking hit the fan. So I feel like there's even if Butler doesn't regress, I feel like there's a chance that whatever happens with this Dame trade, it might have some lingering effects on the squad, on the locker room, maybe. Who knows? But that's why I've got them there as a faller. But look, I still think with my original prediction is more likely, but that's just a hot take on what I think isn't completely out of the realms of possibility. And my big call is that the infallible, the fucking Boston Celtics, that fucking Bill Simmons and all of his cronies fucking spoof over and give all that gives them extra legs up in that fucking MVP voting and fucking defensive player of the year voting. Marcus Smart, you're nowhere near as good as Mikal Bridges. That fucking team, they've lost a lot of grit and grind, man. Like some of the players that they've lost they've got Jason Tatum still. They've got fucking Jaylen Brown. Does the richest contract in the fucking history of the world with Jaylen Brown, does it add some pressure? These things happen from time to time. Does that affect his play at all? Jason Tatum, he can't carry your team. We've seen that, but I think the losses that they've had just from their core, just from their gritty identity defensively, I think it's going to cost them big time. And I'm not a fucking who's that big Pokusevsky fucking Kristaps. Kristaps. I'm not a fucking Kristaps. I think that comes soft as.
Would you call him Dostoevsky?
He called him. I reckon he called him Poku.
He did.
I hold both them guys. I look at them in the same light. So I'm not a big Kristaps guy. I think he's soft, and I think they've lost some toughness. And I think it could just all bubble and squeak into like a big fucking bomb and ruin their season. And they're fucking around with the play-in, maybe. That's my big call.
I'm with you on the Kristaps thing. I don't think he's actually added much benefit anywhere he's been.
I think he's a better player than Marcus Smart, but I'm not sure the fit's better, to be honest. And why trade the heart and soul of your team out? That's what I can't.
That's the main thing too, right? That's more than just the fucking playability and the size of the player. Like Marcus Smart is that team, right?
And he's just Robert Williams, but he can shoot threes. But they're both injury prone and probably can't play together at the same time. And then you've got Al Horford sitting there who's going to want to get. I mean, that roster's. You talk about roster construction again. That's a moment. I think Miami stole their soul last year, and I think they're going to struggle. Well, not struggle, but I think they'll be a 6 seed this year, the Celtics.
Can you see
Well-
my hot take for the play-in? Is that a warm or is it or is it an actual hot take?
It's difficult because I think there's enough there during the regular season. Jason Tatum's an incredible regular season player. Someone threw in the comments, he turns to shit in the playoffs. I can get around that a little bit. I watched him against Miami and they got in his head. And this is not just once. This is 3 years now out of the last 4. We've played them in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Jaylen Brown is, you talk about an overrated player. He's probably the most overrated second option on any team in the NBA. Like, people make out like this guy is, Michael Jordan. He can't dribble.
He can't dribble.
I watched
He's
Victor
terrible.
Oladipo absolutely lock him up and put him in a chamber. And that was Victor Oladipo coming off 2 knee reconstruction. So he's just, I don't know. I'm a big Marcus Smart fan, I must admit. I was very surprised by that trade. And personally, I wouldn't have done it. That'd be like Miami 5-6 years ago trading Adonis Haslam for someone who might be better on paper, but just takes away all of the, talk about heat culture, but the culture and the respect of the locker room and being the captain of that franchise. It was an interesting move. I don't think it'll pay off. And if it doesn't, I think there's going to be a lot of noise coming out of the Boston media around making some moves and some changes pretty quickly.
Agreed.
What else have you got on the Eastern Conference there, Caleb? The floor is yours. Tell us Miami style.
Well, Nate, I don't know what the fuck you were thinking when you were doing your prediction. Quickly, I had the Washington Wizards at 16 wins this year, and you've got them at 40. So that was the biggest discrepancy between the two of us.
I will take any level of shit people want to put on me for that too, because even I look back at that and gone, I really don't. I really must have been at the end of my fucking bottle of wine when I was writing that one down. But
and just quickly,
like I said, I've only got a couple of games separating them and the 4 under them. So
He's just a big Landry Shamet fan. He's just fucking.
The Miami Heat have had 2 sub-40 win seasons in the last 15 years. So for you to predict them to go at 39 with a side that, albeit it is an aging Jimmy Butler, Boyd, I think that was a pretty good take. At some point, he's not going to be the Butler that we see in the playoffs most years. Although I must admit, you guys probably don't watch a lot of Heat games in November and December, but he doesn't do a lot. He barely takes a shot and misses every second game with injuries. So I think that's how he continues to prep himself for the playoffs. I'll touch on Miami last. I'll just run through. I took a couple of notes for each of these sides. So the Charlotte Hornets, I actually think Charlotte are going to be a bit of a bounce back team this year. Miles Bridges is basically like a new addition into that franchise. You can talk about all the off-field shit that you want. He's a very good basketballer when he's on the court. LaMelo Ball, again, missed a ton of games last year. Brandon Miller is an interesting one. I think he'll be terrible until January, and then he'll have quite a big run post All-Star break in particular. I've got Charlotte at 43 wins. I reckon they're a 7th or 8th seed in the East. Orlando are an interesting one. So they didn't have any subtractions this year. A couple of key additions. Big jingling Joe Ingles goes there. So shout out to Adza, who's married to his cousin, as he likes to tell everyone in our fantasy basketball group as much as he can. And they've also added Jet Howard, who is a genuine sniper from 3. Doesn't offer a lot else, but he can certainly knock them down. They're probably the hardest team to predict in the East, Orlando. They've got a lot of length, a lot of size, a lot of terrible guards who can't shoot. So they could be anywhere from a 13th or 14th seed to a genuine sort of play-in / maybe even a 6th seed if it all goes right. I love Brands.
Is that?
Yeah, I think they
changed.
changed.
It is. Yeah, it's Juwan's son. Yeah.
I think Orlando changed the way they structure up their offense too. I think a lot more. They've sort of been random for years, right? They've never really had a way to structure up an offense, and with Paolo now and he's breaking out more and more. I think they're gonna. We'll see Orlando run a lot more structured offense, and a lot of it'll run through Paolo, I think.
And if you look at their front court, they've got Franz as a small forward, Paolo, and then Wendell Carter, who's actually quite a good passer for a big man. They've got a lot of passing, a lot of a lot of length, a lot of size, some good defenders. It's the shooting that worries me for them. So I think if Jet Howard can get on the court and shoots it as well as what he did in college, they're a sneaky. They beat a lot of good teams on the run home last year as well, and I do tend to buy into those sides that go on those runs late in the season. So I think Orlando could be decent next year.
I agree with everything you've said, except the one thing that Gav pointed out too. Every year they've had another opportunity to show us they've changed, and they don't.
They lost Bol as well. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think we need to touch on that, to be honest. They are one of those sides.
We had one of those questions last week. Who here is going to buy Jonathan Isaac's shoes? I mean, he's got named shoes, Jonathan Isaac, and he's played one game in 17 years.
High tops with 13 ankle brace.
Is Jonathan Isaac in their 10-man rotation, even if healthy? I don't think he is.
No
like,
anymore.
Who are you going to play him ahead of? I think this is the year, Nate, to answer your question. I do agree that they promise this every year and then nothing comes to fruition. But I think, if they can keep Markel Fultz healthy and his shot isn't completely broken, then they could be okay. And to be honest, the East is weaker again this year, particularly at the top. That's why I'm a little bit higher on Miami with or without Dame this year than what I was last year, because I think Philly's probably going to get worse. Who fucking knows what's happening with James Harden and Murray in the front office there. Boston are worse.
You say the East got weaker, but the East last season had more wins in the standings than the West did.
Yeah, but Boston are worse. I think we all agree Boston are worse this year, and I think Philly will be a lot worse than they were last year. I think the top of the East that propped the East up last year, because the bottom of the East was pretty terrible. I don't think there's many teams that are big improvers. I think Indiana's probably the one that's going to be the bolter in the conference, but almost every other team is either neutral or worse, except for maybe Detroit. Gav, I thought that was a bit of a hot take of yours. I think Detroit are possibly a play-in team this year, but yeah, the rest of it's sort of, the Miamis, Clevelands of this world are roughly the same, and then Boston, Philly probably got a little bit worse, and the West again at the top has gotten stronger, in my opinion. I don't even know where to start with the Wizards. Nate, if you can talk me through how you got to 40 wins, that would be great.
You're going at that big time. I like it.
Oh,
yeah, like I said, I welcome the shitting, because I looked at that too and I've gone, yeah, I don't know how I got there.
What have I done?
Other than the comment that I didn't think that would go to tank just yet, I would think I'd try and rebuild during the season.
Was this prediction made before the Beal and Porzingis deals? Because then I could sort of understand.
No, it was after. It was after.
I think
I probably gave Jordan Poole a little bit too much credit as well. Like, I think that's a guy that needed a new team, so he could surprise us. We know he's got potential to.
My hot take for the Wizards is that Jordan Poole has a statistical better season than Steph Curry this year. I think he will put up big numbers in Washington on very poor efficiency, but big numbers with big turnovers as well.
No one there is going to punch him in the face.
No. Well, Cole Kuzma would be scared to fight my 4-year-old son, I think. So I think the Wizards are in full tank mode now. I think as soon as Beal moved, that was it for them. And I think they'll struggle to win 20 games this year. I think last year on this podcast, I had them at 20 wins, and I was a year too early, but I think this is the year that it happens. Atlanta, interesting. Someone touched on John Collins before. I think it's almost addition by subtraction. I think Collins, in a vacuum, is a good player. He's, I've always been a fan. He's a Miami native, John Collins. So I do like him, but I think they've opened up more minutes for Jalen Johnson. I think Sadiq Bey is not a great player, but he's got a better skill set for that team than what Collins did, in that he can actually shoot the basketball, which is helpful. I think Trae Young is being underrated a little bit now in the league. You know, he was a perennial top 10 player 2 years ago, which was overrating him. And now people are saying he's not a top 30 player, which is probably underrating him. DeJounte, he's a good player. I think he was a little bit overrated. His last year in San Antonio, where he put up that big season. My hot take I've got the Hawks at 45 wins this year, but my hot take is that Okongwu establishes himself as the starter by January for that team, and Capella will be moved at the deadline.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that's because it's part of a trade?
No, I think he'll usurp him for a month, and then they'll look to move him at the deadline. I think Okongwu is primed and ready for a big year in Atlanta. I think he's got a skill set that NBA teams, you're either you want 7-footers like Embiid or Jokic, or you want smaller centers that are agile and able to get around the court. And I think he's the latter. But yeah, he's a good fit in the modern NBA. And then Miami, which is probably the hardest team to predict at the moment. I agree with Gav. I do think the Dame trade happens, but when it happens will determine what their win total is. I've got them at 48 wins at the moment, and I'm sitting on the fence. I agree with Hammo in that if Dame is traded, then they're probably a 50-plus win team at the start of the year. If it happens at the deadline, they're more of a 45 to 50 win team. The subtractions of Vincent and Strus are being a little overrated. People saw them pop off in the playoffs and went, "Oh, these players are actually good." They were dog shit for the vast majority of last season. Well, in fairness to Vincent, he was okay. He at least defends, but Max Strus is a black hole. If you want to talk about black holes, he shot sub 35% and took 7 attempts a game. So I don't think they're the losses that people are hyping them up to be. And I think
the Heat were waving Strauss all season, weren't they? Because he came up several times in Phoenix, trade talks, and
I think the fans were, but Spo loved him, so he just continued to feed him more and more minutes. And I think he has a really good relationship with Jimmy Butler, so I think they like to play those two together on the court. Duncan is worse at basketball, but a far better shooter, and we really only need someone to shoot in that role. And I think Max thought he was a sniper, but statistically speaking, he was not. I love that we got Josh Richardson back. He's someone that I've been a big fan of, throughout his entire career. He's, low usage, 3-point shooter. I think he shoots at about 37% from three. Really good defender. When he's doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's a decent offensive player. He steps out of bounds far too many times. And Thomas Bryant is shit at basketball and might be the best backup center we've had in the last 20 years, which is saying a lot. So I think he brings some size and some versatility there, some shooting. So
Caleb, who's your starting point guard?
Well, I was about to jump into that. My hot take is that Tyler Hero is our starting point guard this year and averages over 23 points per game until he is included in a Dame package, and then Dame is the starting point guard. The game's gone past Kyle Lowry. You can't start him anymore.
He's left the team, hasn't he?
No, he's still there.
No, he's still there.
Oh, he's staying?
With his $29 million a year. He's still there. So I think the starting lineup for Miami will be Hero. I think it'll be Caleb Martin at the 2, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, Bam Adebayo. And then I think a Dame trade will happen, and then, who they get back in that and who they sign. But I am very confident that Eric Spoelstra could sign me, and I would go into that team and probably average 11 points and 3 assists. So
1'2". There's no fucking way known.
Hey, mate,
the
I've had a
smallest
growth
human alive.
I'm at least 1'6" at this point. No, I think there's just too much there for that team to completely drop off. But I do think if the Dame trade doesn't happen, then one of Hero or Adebayo are going to have to pick up the load a little bit more in the regular season, because Butler can't do it, all season, and then in the playoffs as well. We were incredibly lucky this year that he did miss 25 games, and therefore, he had a little bit more rest going into the playoffs and allowed us to go on a run. And I don't think we're an NBA Finals team as currently constructed, but I also don't think we're the 8th seed that we were last year. We're probably somewhere in the middle in that 5th, 6th position.
You come
What
got
happens
hot
if
from
the Dame
3
trade
in
doesn't
the
happen?
playoffs. You got hot from 3 in the playoffs, stole a couple of games, and it's fallen down a bit this year, mate. I'm sorry.
I disagree, Boyd. We were the number 1 3-point shooting team a year earlier. So, and I
Year
think
earlier,
that's been a pattern. Yeah,
fucking
we were
good
number 1 in
last
the
year.
NBA, and then we dropped to
Fucking great.
30th last year, and then it sort of came back in the playoffs. So, and if you look at our shooting last year, the 2 players that shot the worst, that took the most shots, were Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, who are both not on the team now. So, I think
So, Caleb,
getting more... Yes, mate.
if the Dame thing doesn't happen, how do you position him?
46, 47 wins, 5th, 6th.
And still better than 8th, losing players and not adding anything to the roster, except Josh Richardson.
I'm saying that we've gotten better than we've gotten worse. I think Josh Richardson's a better player than both Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. And I think Thomas Bryant, if you want to talk about shit players, Dwayne Dedman, I don't know how he saw minutes last year. So the gap between Thomas Bryant and Dwayne Dedman is pretty high.
Hang on, but the Lakers fans are fucking losing their collective minds about fucking Gabe Vincent. They're fucking losing their shit like they've
The Lakers
got a
fans.
massive steal.
They do like overpaying for backups.
There's
They
no
did
logic.
the same with Kendrick Nunn, mate. And what happened?
Nothing.
And just looping back a little bit into the World Cup shit. Austin Reeves been a fucking phenom over there and just been everything. It's all got to do with
what?
A phenom.
What's a phenom? Are you talking about a phenom? You talking about a phenom?
Yeah, phenom. You can say it like that too, Gavin. I think.
Fucking
mate.
hell.
Hey, but I think
You said Tukin before as well, so you know.
Yeah, Tukin. I did hear him say Tukin.
Tukin. That's a good one. Hey, who's that big fucking ogre looking guy, mates with Tobias Harris? Last name
Boban.
Boban played. If he played on the Lakers, he'd be getting fucking. It's just like someone with a quirky look or a fucking who's a little bit outside the box. If they're on the Lakers, they're the fucking they're the bee's knees, and everyone fucking loves them.
Austin Reeves
Like
is
Taco
just
Fall.
he is just Austin Reeves is just Alex Caruso version 2. That's all he is.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't buy fucking Suns jerseys down here in Australia, but they had fucking Alex Caruso Lakers jerseys. Like, fair income.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. It's difficult. He's a good, honest player, but that's all he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Well, the Lakers are claiming that he's the best third option in the NBA.
He's in the big 3. They're ranking on national fucking media in like the top 5 big 3s with Austin fucking Reeves, man. Like, fucking come on. But what I'm saying is that he got decent money to go over to the Lakers, and you got Josh Richardson on a minimum, wasn't he?
Yeah, on a minimum. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just take your goggles off. Take your fucking heat colored, whatever the heat color is, red, black, whatever. Take them colored glasses off and just know that you guys lost big time with Vincent being stolen from you by the Lakers. And
we're going to have this conversation again in 12 months' time, Boydie. And when we go to the finals again, starting a couple of undrafted scrubs that they've found on the streets of nowhere in January, we can have this chat after Denver.
No. In all seriousness, I like Josh Richardson. His defense has dropped off in his what is he, sort of early 30s now? Is he?
He's 29, maybe
29.
30. Yeah.
Like he was like a really fucking highly touted defender and shooter like a few years ago. I think he's dropped off a little bit, but still really good.
Is he a genuine 6'6" point guard?
He's 6'6", yeah, but I think he'll probably play shooting guard in Miami.
No, yeah, I thought he was more wing.
He'll be a 2-3. But I mean, we started Caleb Martin, who's 6'6" at power forward for the vast majority of last year. So who knows in Miami?
His favorite fucking phrase: positionless basketball.
Positionless basketball. So what we'll do is I'm going to skip and go back to Shag, Marry, Kill, because we'll roll into questions without notice because there has been a few thrown up for you, Caleb. So how excited are you for a possible Dame trade, and what do you think the trade will be?
I'm very excited. Dame's been one of my favourite players for a long time now. So I think he is what he is. He's a terrible defender, but Miami have enough defenders to cover that up. But he offers us something that we haven't had probably ever, really, in someone that can cross half court and just start shooting. I think he's a very good fit with Bam in particular. And I think the on-court fit with him, with Bam, with Dame, and with Jimmy would be phenomenal. As far as a package goes, I think Tyler will end up in either Brooklyn or San Antonio. A pick will come back to Miami. It'll be 3 or 4 first-round picks, Nikola Jovic, probably Jaime Jaquez, and then some cap filler. I think Miami will be hoping to offload Duncan in that, but inevitably Portland will ask for Lowry instead because he's on an expiring contract. But that's what I think the deal will be. And I think it probably gets done a month into the season. I think Portland will hold on as long as they can. But I just, there's not enough to be a suitor for Dame right now. You need to think that you can contend, and then you need to have assets. And there's no teams that are in that boat. I mean, Brooklyn's probably the closest, but I don't think McHale, Dame, and Cam Johnson is going to contend. They're probably still a 4th seed in the East. The Knicks are kidding themselves. I think they'll fall back a little bit this year again. Philly don't have the assets. Boston don't have the finances or the assets unless they're going to include Jaylen Brown in the trade. So
You'd love that.
They actually can't. They actually can't.
Then all of a sudden you'd be on the chat. Oh, Nate, you're right. We're going to drop out of the playoffs. We got that fucking.
They can include Brown after I think the 15th of December or the 15th of January. Yeah, one of those two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, no, they can't. It's I think it's the next off-season thing with him.
No, it's the same as Aiden.
No, it's
I'm
not.
pretty sure it's the same as Aiden, but okay.
Because it's the poison pill provision thing. So he can be traded, but he can't be traded at the cap number that he's currently receiving. So.
Well, hang on, because fucking Keith Smith on his podcast, Keith Smith, right? I was listening this morning on his latest one, and he said something about there was a little loophole where Jaylen Brown actually he was a late extension, and I think he said something about the type of extension meant that it was one that was a bit longer than usual for some reason. I haven't looked into it properly. I could be wrong, but I don't think Jaylen Brown could, and it's similar with Porzingis as well. So yeah, they really haven't got much. Now, just on that package of three and 4 picks, Caleb, 3 or 4 picks and some fucking filler. It sounds like. Do you think that's fair?
2 recent first-round picks, and Nikola Jovic is a 3rd-ranked player in FIBA Basketball World Cup at the moment.
Don't talk to me about your fucking half-sucked orange, your guys that you've picked and they haven't fucking. Done everything that you fucking ever dreamed of. Now
one of them hasn't played a game, you bloody goon.
Once they're picked, mate, they're yesterday's news. Just don't fucking try that. I fucking hate that. It's a joke.
Anyway, ask your question. You're dragging this out.
Do you think that's a fair deal for Damian Lillard?
Yes, in a vacuum. He's 33, and he's on a $250 million contract. So where are the other suitors for? And the market dictates what's a fair trade. So unless another team comes and says, "Hey, we'll give you 6 first-round picks," well, if I'm Portland, take it. Like, who gives a shit what Dame says or where he wants to go? You take the deal that's best for your franchise. But there's no other deal there. And if there was going to be one, it would be there. Now that changes at the deadline if they're happy to hold on that long, which I don't think they will be, but. If they hold on to the deadline and let's say New York are like, hey, we're decent and we think we can make 2 midget point guards work in Brunson and Lillard, so we'll offer the chest, which is 6 or 7 first-round picks, then perhaps. But that's a pretty big if. I don't see another team coming in and making the deal. There's a lot of some talk around the Wolves. Would they trade Cat for Dame? I'm not sure that helps either team, really. Cat's 20, so he doesn't really fit Portland's timeline if they're looking to rebuild around Scoot. And why would you take the ball out of Ant's hands if you're trying to develop him and turn him into a superstar and put it in Lillard's hands. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
All right. Caleb, next one. Were you surprised that Miami didn't buy out Lowry?
No.
Expand.
They want to trade him. They want the salary.
We need to trade him. Like, that's a $29 million expiring contract. At the deadline, that holds value. Worst case, you can. He's worth about 29 cents at the moment. But worst case, you can attach an asset. Let's say Dame doesn't happen. Maybe you trade him to. Not that they would do this, but let's say, I don't know, the Wizards decided that they wanted to move on from Kuzma or something like that, and Miami felt that they could attach a $29 million expiring deal on a first-round pick to bring Kuzma in. Not that I'm advocating for that, but that's the type of deal that might be able to happen in 6 months' time. Whereas if you wave and stretch, you lose a valuable asset in that expiring contract for nothing, and we can't add anyone anyway because we're over the cap.
What's your favorite Miami jersey of all time?
Ooh. That's a good question. My personal that I own, or just my favorite?
Your personal one.
Yeah, your personal.
I do have a 97-98 Mitchell and Ness Tim Hardaway jersey that is probably my favorite. I love the original Miami Heat mashup jerseys that they did, the Dwayne Wade ones from about 5 years ago. So the black with the teal.
The disco colourful ones.
Yeah. So young blokes like me get around those, boy.
Fucking,
we would have no fucking idea, but
don't get me started on the youth of today. They're fucked.
You asked me how old I was offline earlier. I'm 33, by the way, mate. Gav rudely jumped in and made it all about himself as we were trying to have a funeral. So that's probably my favourite jersey. The Vice jerseys were really cool early on, but as they went on, they got a little bit so much for my liking. But I do love the 90s, the late 90s red jerseys with the white trims on the side, and the faded out numbers on the back were probably my favourite.
Nice.
I will just say though, not just because I'm on your shit podcast, the Phoenix Suns have the best jerseys in the NBA, particularly those early 90s jerseys. They are the best.
Yeah,
we bought them back last year. They were fire.
Your shit podcast. It was great. You
fit right in.
You fit right in.
Appreciate it. All right, lads. We've got questions without notice for everyone now. In school, did you, A, usually know the answers, or B, benefit from the help of others? If A, did you share your answers with Boyd? And others, or like a Flog, cover your answers and take pleasure in the failure of others?
Can you just ask that again, but in one fucking piece?
All right. So let's go. In school, did you, A, usually know the answers, or B, usually benefited from the help of others? Boyd.
I was clever and probably knew the answers up until about grade 5, and I don't know if it was just me, but or the questions.
Yeah, because up until grade 5, all they do is teach you. All they teach you to do is write and finger paint.
Finger paint. Yeah. Hey,
there's no actual questions until grade 5.
I'm a hell of a fucking finger painter. But yeah, no, I got caught trying to cheat off of someone sitting next to me, and I'm just very, very fucking blatantly looking at his fucking paper, and I got fucking in trouble. So I just sort of fucking gave up. But I picked a lot of hard subjects because I wanted to be a smart person, and then I was just out of my depth, man, for fucking a lot of my high school years. So yeah,
home ec wasn't hard, mate. You might have claimed it was hard, but it wasn't that hard. All you had to do was cook food. It was fucking easy.
No, well, yeah. Look, I wouldn't say I was. Well, I did learn from others. I had to fucking listen carefully, but yeah, no, I wasn't.
So you're a B, is what you're saying. It took 20 minutes to get you're a B. Nate,
Solid bet.
Yeah, out of the two options, I'm probably I knew the answers, and I was also the flog that covered them up, so some cunts like Boyd couldn't read my paper.
Yep. Okay. So
that was definitely me.
That's excellent. Hammo?
Yeah, exactly the same as Nate.
I use the smart cunts. You're all fucking so clever, aren't you? Look at you.
Used to be.
Fucking
Used to be.
full of it.
Boyd, this
A
is
long
Boyd.
time ago.
Absolutely. This is perfect. Boyd used to ace nap time. That was his go-to subject in grades prep.
But how do you fail lunch or little lunch?
I was doing too many drugs to fucking nap, man. I was fucking... We're talking grade 6 now. We're talking grade 6.
Caleb, what about you? Were you the smart kid or were you the copy kid?
I was probably somewhere in the middle, to be honest, not to sit on the fence, but I was relatively smart, but I didn't really give a fuck about school until year 12 and then decided I wanted to go to university at that point in time. So then tried a little bit harder. I wasn't a flog though. I didn't cover my answers up. I mean, boys, I don't know what you were doing in school, but you got to help out the battlers like Boyd. So yeah, I reckon I was
next to Caleb, please.
just the old C plus B minus specialist. I was.
Yeah, I was an A as well. I sort of knew the answers. I did pretty well in school, to be honest. So sorry about that. But I'm with Caleb. I wasn't a cover my answers type person until year 11 when we had to do an assignment in legal studies, and the person next to me copied word for word what I did and submitted it, and then we got accused of cheating. And that was the last time I ever not uncovered something. So
I never knew I was in a fucking. I never knew I was in a podcast full of fucking scholars and educated folk.
Yes, you did.
You could have
every week. Every week you did.
Me.
You did, because every week you're the dumb cunt.
Cheers, mate. That's fucking a bit hard. Right in the chest.
What team in the West do you think presents the greatest challenge to the Suns, and why? Caleb, we'll let you go first for this.
I mean, the easy answer is Denver, because they've got the best player in the world. And really, I think the Warriors are another year older. I don't think they're going to contend again this year. The Lakers, they've got Austin Reeves in their big three, so that says it all. I do think the Thunder are sneaky this year, maybe not to challenge the Suns, but I think they could be a side that jumps up into that top 4 or 5 in the West if all things click right for them. But I think it's probably, I have Phoenix getting through the West and making the finals. I think Denver will be very good, but I think they've just lost enough that Phoenix might pip them in the Western Conference Finals.
Hey, mate.
If Frank Vogel's plan works and we become a more defensive-minded team, this may not be the case, but I still think the Warriors are going to have a chance. You know, they usually touch us up a bit. So if we can start playing more defense, then we're fine in the West.
We're fine in the West.
We're fine in the West. But if we do not execute the defensive-minded plan to perfection, then I think the Warriors will still have a chance of messing us up.
Nate.
I think we've covered this on a previous pod. I agree exactly with Caleb. I don't think Denver is poised for a revisit to the finals. I don't think they get past us. I think they'll be lucky to finish 2. But I think they're still looking at the way they improved, and we watched it over several years, getting a little bit better, and then they pipped us and they won the whole thing. You have to say they still got to be the biggest challenge, especially given the home court advantage. Yeah, all the way up there.
Boyd.
Yeah, the West. I'm not. I'm actually probably a bit off of Denver just because of all the entire world fluffing them like no one's fucking business. I'm so fucking off. And I honestly still believe that lightning in a bottle at the right time made them, against a week lead up to the finals. It just fucking everything lined up for them perfectly. I'm not going to say them. They'll be top 4, but I don't think that they're a real threat. There you go, with the best player in the world, Jokic. I think he gets figured out. So Warriors for mine. Similar to Hammo. There's something about him. There's some killer instinct that Steph just fucking scares me a little bit, and just what he can do on his own. And regardless of what versions of Klay Thompson and fucking Draymond Green and and Wiggins that he has around him, I just he's the scariest weapon in the West. So I'll put the Warriors as that team.
For me, I'm with Caleb and Nate. It's Denver. They're the reigning champions. Jokic is the best player in the world. They have lost some important pieces, but let's be honest, if you go through the entire playoff run, they didn't run that deep anyway with their rotation. They generally only ran a 7, sometimes an 8-man rotation, and they're going to try and ride the back of Jokic and Murray and all those guys. But do I think they'll beat Phoenix? No, but they're certainly going to be the biggest challenge.
It's nice to see you change your tune and actually grow up there, Gav. For years, you've been saying they're just a regular season team.
They have been a regular season team.
And then last year they rolled.
Now they won a title.
I will just say, though, quickly on Denver, they got a 7th seed in the Western Conference Finals and an 8th seed in the finals. Now, you can argue that the Lakers and the Heat were better than those seeds, and that's fine. They got to where they did, and that's great. But they didn't have to run into Phoenix. They didn't have to run into the Warriors. They got a pretty good run. And from all accounts, Jokic has been drinking frothies and gambling on horses the entire offseason. So he might come back just a little bit slower this year than what he was last year. They're an interesting spot. I still think they are the second best team in the West, but you never know. That it could drop off pretty considerably for them.
Could Jokic get any slower? I mean, the dude always looks like he's walking up and down the court.
Can always get slower.
He's the perfect example and gives the fat blokes of the world hope that you can make it to the NBA. All right, shag, marry, kill. So we did have one in the chat, so I adjusted just a little bit because there was also a question here. There was also a question there about Caleb. What area are you from? Somebody's asked. So you want to let everyone know you're from Melbourne as well?
Yeah, Gippsland, Victoria.
So he's down my neck of the woods. But they also asked your opinion on one of these that I've thrown into the shag, marry, kill. Shag, marry, or kill Vegemite, Marmite, or peanut butter?
Oh, I'm going to lose some friends here. I'll shag Marmite, marry Vegemite, and kill peanut butter.
Ooh, big ones. Hammo.
I'm killing Vegemite. Fucking hate that.
You've been so un-Australian the last few weeks, Hammo.
First generation, man. It's what happens. I am going to marry peanut butter because I love that shit. And honestly, I've never tried Marmite, so I'll fuck it just to find out if I like it or not.
I like the explanation. Hammer, Nate.
Vegemite's my bro, man. I'm just gonna have to have a gay. I'm just gonna have to have a gay marriage with it. Marmite, I hate the shit. It can die a fucking painful death, which leaves peanut butter. You know how many stories have you applied peanut butter to it and it leads to sex? So may as well shag that straight up and avoid the conversation.
Boyd.
Nate, you are singing to my soul. And fuck these guys. These guys are below us in life as they are in this podcast. Fucking Marmite is the worst fucking yuck, fishy taste. And just the smell of it makes me sick. If you eat Marmite, you're fucking, there's something wrong in your head. Honestly, it's fucked. I would marry Vegemite. I would shoot and burn any Marmite. I think my missus sometimes buys it for the kids to try and make them like it, so it pisses me off. And I'd fuck a jar of peanut butter, man. Oh yeah, bring it. Smooth.
Right in there. Take the lid off and stick it straight in.
I was going to say crunchy or smooth.
Smooth. A little bit of oil. I want a little bit of oil in it. You know that the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, the top row is the one with the brains here. Marmite dies a fucking horrible death with as much as we can possibly kill it. Again, it's one of those ones where these three are in a room. You got a gun with 2 bullets. You shoot Marmite twice. Vegemite, yeah. Look, I'm with you guys. Marry Vegemite and shag a bit of peanut butter. I think that it's certainly the way to go. No, Sunderist, nobody likes Marmite. Marmite is fucking horrible. And I think he pictured the peanut butter sex stories, mate, and went in and googled it. So
instead of American pie, it's Australian peanut butter.
That the No Frills brand of peanut butter is pretty average, but if you're going to root it right, you got to agree with me. You want that soft. Anyway, we'll take this offline, guys.
You want the oily entry point.
I love how tired you get to these conversations, Boyd. It's like it's a real thing. For you mentally, you're actually thinking about maybe peanut butter tonight. No, I'll take it to bed.
Are you trying to tell me you never just kick around ideas about rooting condiments in your cupboard at any point? No,
not really. This is a first for me. This is a first for me.
Oh, Mrs.
Kill everyone in this room for a drop of sweet beer.
So, Homer, please feel free to tell us anything.
Sorry about that, Hammo. I cut you off. I clicked it just as you started talking.
No, that's all right. I'm just picturing poor Mrs. Boyd comes home and old mate's got a bottle of Heinz up his ass.
American Pie style. He's lying on his countertop with his peanut butter.
Were you in my room last night? Fuck.
Yes, I was.
All right,
There
lads.
was
Who
some
do you want to have a
strange
beer?
sounds, man.
Who do you want to have a beer with this week? Boyd, you can go first.
No, I can't.
What?
Can't. I'm still thinking of it right now.
Why don't you go with your normal soft option and fucking just pick Caleb?
Yeah, I was going to say Caleb, and
Yeah, of
thanks
course
for
you were.
reminding me, Gavin. Caleb, because and look, and here's why. Caleb knows a lot about basketball. He's got a husky, like real manly voice. I'd love to have a beer with him, and he could just I'd just sit there and I'd be smiling, I'd just nod and just like he'd be talking some shit about the Heat, just fucking waffling on for fucking hours and hours. I'd just listen. We'd sing some Backstreet Boys, and he'd take all the low lines. There's not many of them. I'll take the high girly ones, and we'll get fucking hammered and just fucking have a fucking time.
I've had a beer with Caleb. He can't keep up. Nate.
Right, I'm going to keep it all about the World Cup. So I'm wearing my Jock apology jersey. I still want to have a beer with Jock because the minute I bought this jersey, he went out, and all we've spoke about since is how much he'd make this team better. So I probably owe him a carton of some pretty decent shit.
Yeah, you ruined my flog of the week. Hammo.
What, me?
Man, I want to have a beer with Murray Stoudemire. Been doing some research the last few days, just looking into things that he's done outside of the Phoenix Suns. The whole time in Maccabi Tel Aviv or wherever it is in Israel that he's been over there owning, playing, doing all that. Even just all the stuff I read and see about his diet, how it's very strict, vegan-based diet, which I'm not necessarily a fan of. Just seems like a very interesting guy, man. I'd love to have a beer with him.
Caleb, who would you like to have a beer with this week? No, you're on mute, or you're not sounding out at all. Yeah, can't hear you, buddy. It's dropped out, and I'm hoping it's dropped out deliberately because you were going to say Boyd. You're back?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I said outside of Boydie, sticking with the World Cup theme. I'll go Paddy Mills because he's a fucking legend of Australian basketball, and an absolute icon, and he does a lot for his community as well. So I'm a big fan of Paddy, and he'd have to be it.
That's a
good one.
That's a damn good one, man.
That's a good one. You stole it off me. So now I've got to find someone else. I'd like to have a beer with Ben Simmons because he's going to be the saviour of Australian basketball in the next Olympics after his interview last week. And Boyd's all over it. So, Ben, we love you over here again because you're going to play for Australia. Probably not. You'll find a way to pull out again. But either way, whatever.
Time for the flog of the week, and trust me, they are ugly, very unattractive. Google their face when you're done here.
Who's your flog of the week, Boyd?
Come back to me.
Hammo, who's your flog of the week, Hammo? At least you've researched some shit this week.
Yeah.
Boyd.
Noah Lyles. The one who started making cracks about how can the NBA call themselves world champions. It's the same thing with fucking Gridiron, dude. It's just what they do. Like, congratulations, you got your name in the media for a week. I'd never fucking heard of you. Stop picking on people that have actually accomplished something. You're just a tool and a flog.
That's a very good one, Hammo. I like that. Nate?
Look, I'm going to say a name, and I'm not taking the easy way out. There's a sub little arrow to it. I'll start with Luca's the flog of the week because obviously Slovenia beating Australia on Friday night was not good for us. But also being able to look at Luca and call him a flog would put me within arm shot of Zoran Dragic, and I'd be able to point at Zoran and go, "You're also a flog." And because I live in Singapore, I'd say plus because it always costs you more. It costs you GST and it costs you service charge, and that can't cost us. And he did nothing for us. So there's a double banger there. Luca and a plus point at Zoran. Fuck him.
Caleb, who's your flog of the week?
We also got burnt by Zoran, Nate, because we had to trade for him and Goran at the same time. Flog of the week, I wasn't prepared for this at all, but I'll go with Liz Cambridge because she's the flog of the century.
Oh,
Liz is she's been
that's up
she's
there.
been on here a couple of times.
The gift that keeps on giving.
She's got to mention a couple of times here on the Aussie Suns Fans podcast in Flog of the Week, I think. Boyd, who's your flog of the week?
My flog of the week is the Australian coach, the Nets assistant or Sydney Kings fucking coach.
Very good, right.
But just you know, I got up for that game. And the guys in our fantasy chat was probably you two were going on, and you were spot on with just the a little bit late with adjustments and.
What do you mean you got up for that game? It was 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time.
No, I got up as in I got hyped up is what I meant. But yeah, no. I did. I fucking retweeted
He was up. He sat on the couch with his jar of peanut butter.
Yeah. Upside down.
He was
Oily side out.
The old 3 digits in action.
Still not sure what the egg baster was for.
But yeah, no. Look, I watched the Roosters game before that, knockout South, and are now in the finals in the NRL competition. But yeah, and I was really excited and in a really good mood, and that just fucking brought me down because we all know how much I fucking hate Luca. We all hate Luca, and yeah, I mean the refs, however, they were fucking hard on him, which not hard on him, rightly so. They were fucking pulling him in the line a bit, which I liked, but yeah, no, I just feel like if that team was coached a bit better, if there was a couple of different personnel changes, I think we would have got that. What do you do? It pissed me off.
At least it wasn't Andre Lamanis. Could have been a lot worse.
That's probably true too. My flog of the week is Ben Simmons. Stop coming out every fucking year in the off season telling everyone how you're gonna dominate. Like, let your fucking actions do the talking on the court. Get on the floor, play the game. That's all you need to focus on right now. This off-season shit, everyone's over it. I think you're wasting your talent. You're throwing it away. Fucking pull your finger out, Ben.
But by hyping himself up, he's wasting his talent.
He does it every fucking year, mate. He does it every year.
A lot of people do it,
and it's the same shit. Yeah, but a lot of people do it and then actually come out and play basketball.
He's had a back injury. He got teased at Philadelphia by fucking the coach and Embiid. Fucking leave him alone. Leave fucking Simmons alone.
Even 2K hate on him now too, because I think I think he's a 76 rated player with a $30 million contract on 2K.
It's old hat.
I want to see you playing. I want to see you playing a season where you go to the injuries and it's got Ben Simmons ruled out for a mental illness. then 2K will be really hanging it on him. Yeah, we'll move on. Caleb, thanks heaps for joining us today, mate. If you're on social media, give a shout out to yourself and where anyone can find you. I know you're not big on social media, so you just hang around the Reddit boards so you can hang shit on people, right?
Yeah, I just lurk in the Portland and Heap Reddit subs and argue with people constantly. But no, I don't really do social media. Thanks for having me again. It was fun. Boydie, I'll talk to you probably in about 5 minutes' time, mate. You're as handsome as ever. Nate, we can have a conversation offline about your fucking predictions for the year.
Mate, you could have shit on me a lot more, mate. You're an absolute gentleman.
That was a clusterfuck, but and I'm not sure I'm more hurt by the Wizards or the Heat. I think it's a combination of both. But no, it's been fun.
The Heat, I actually think are going to fall, so that's an honest thing. The Wizards thing, even I'm sitting there looking at that going, that's a bit high.
had a couple of bongs before he did that prediction. But no, thanks
I was at a free flow wine event, to be honest.
Thanks for having me, and hopefully I'm welcome back next year.
Absolutely, mate. Hammo, where do we find you? Last comments?
Find us at Sir Hammo on Twitter or X or whatever fuck you want to call it. Just a very special happy Father's Day to my dad, Jimmy. Wish I could be there with you, mate. Sad I'm not. Caleb, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate. And looking forward to doing this again next year with you.
Nate?
You can find me about 3:30 p.m. down at Boomerang watching the Australian Georgia game. Regardless of whether it's worth something, I'm going to go down there and actually watch a game because it's the only way to watch it live in Singapore. Thank you, Singapore government, for making it so difficult, even with a VPN. And immediately after this pod, I'm going to, like Hammo said, I'm going to call my dad because I don't get to be in Australia and go see him. So, and the Nicky's Falcon thing, yeah.
Point.
Yeah, at fucko or at.
You're not at fucko. Stop doing it.
I am on a social media platform. I am at fucko. No lie.
Wow.
This is. I was waiting for Hammo to jump in.
It's a lie.
Grinder.
No one.
Grinder, isn't it?
They wouldn't approve it.
Oh yeah, they did. I tried and
he spelled it with a PH.
No, just
here's your new Twitter handle.
Oh yeah.
Spell it with a PB. The B is silent.
If they let me have at fucko, I would have triple the Sexbot army followers that I currently have, man. It'd be fucking unreal. But I happy Father's Day. I see this is a perfect day for dads everywhere to get what they want. The whole family, just my family, are all slaves to me, man. They're hanging, off my every word. What do you want? A fucking coffee? What do you want for breakfast? Fucking yes. It's good, man. Cash in, guys, because tomorrow it goes back to fucking normal. And
it'll probably go back to normal at about 12 o'clock, I reckon.
Yeah, I know.
About now.
I wore out my welcome fucking probably 2 hours ago, but anyway.
Yeah, I wore mine out. at about 8:15 this morning. Yeah, happy Father's Day to everyone out there. I'm the same. I'm going to go and catch up with the old man now. And then I'm going to go and call I'm going to go on a live stream and call a football final. So that should be fun. Nice. Everyone, appreciate everyone jumping on again in the chat. We love you guys doing that. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, do all that sort of shit. Share it out with all the other Suns fans on Twitter. Make sure you get us out there. We've really enjoyed it. Caleb, again, thank you very much, mate. And hopefully we'll have you on a pod. We'll have you on a pod when the Suns are meeting the Heat in the NBA Finals this year. That'll be the best one, except I'll be in Phoenix just enjoying that. And Nate will probably come with me.
Can we get him on if they lose in the play-in, though? Can we do that episode as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we'll get him.
I'll
We'll
happily
also
jump
get
on.
him on. We'll also get him on after they lose to the Suns during the year. It was great. Like, subscribe, do all that sort of shit. And most importantly, as always, we're not here to fuck spiders.
As Chris Paul gets in, another wide open three.
Pierre Cardin.
Defers to Booker for the long range.
Phoenix. Phoenix Suns, and you know we up next. Yeah, we working for that championship ring. We the valley, it ain't nothing but a thing. Phoenix. Phoenix Suns, and you know we up next. Yeah, we working for that championship ring.